Here we are reviewing the Google Drive on the Android and the iPad. Both apps are similar, with the menu going down the left of each one, and in the middle we've got the folders of people's content. On the iPad it seems it's a lot cleaner, less options to do. At the bottom it shows your little ID and your email. So
whereas on the Android, it's very clean. Maybe not as clean as the iPad, but it's still very clean. It's very user friendly. There are plenty of options to interact correctly with the software, and I don't see any major differences that would impede the user's progress with the Android model as opposed to the iPad model.
But yeah, and overall they are pretty much similar. They both do the same job, same layout. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, we're now reviewing the Gmail application for both the Android model and the iPad model. On first glance they seem to do exactly the same job, but the Android model seems to prioritise further than the iPad model.
Yeah.
The Android immediately offers the user a selection of different categories for the email, whether the iPad seems to display every single email clearly on the left rather than separating them into categories than the Android model does.
Yeah, but for this you have to click on another option which takes you to that menu, which seems a bit outrageous, to be honest.
Whereas on the Android model that menu is actually omnipresent. It can't be opened and closed, it's always there. And the user can select different categories for the email rather than the iPad model, which you can't do that, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's just a difference really. It's just got an extra menu that's hidden on this iPad, but that one, it's all just there in front of you.
All in all, the user might find this a bit more convenient, but overall they do exactly the same job, and rather than just presentation, there seems to be really not much difference.
Here we are reviewing the SkyDrive on both tablets. On first glance they're looking exactly the same, but with the iPad system there are a few extra features that the iPad has that the Android doesn't have. At the bottom there's 3 options where you can choose between your files, your recents, and what you've got shared with other people. It just seems a little bit easier to understand how to get around the application, but pretty much looking the same.
No, I agree. At first glance the application seems very much the same. With the option to navigate through the application, it seems a bit more complicated on the Android user interface. Everything is very clearly labelled on the iPad, whereas on the Android system there appears only symbols to navigate, rather than on the iPad system where there are symbols plus annotations. Yeah. So the user doesn't experience any confusion throughout navigation throughout the application. Aside from that, they appear to do exactly the same job. So there's been no other difference.
Yeah.
And they appear to do exactly the same job.
Here we are looking at the Windows Live Hotmail application on the Apple, and the Outlook application on the Android, which is the upgrade of this one, where the Apple hasn't had the upgrade for its software. Looking at this one, it's really old and basic and tatty. It definitely needs to be upgraded to that because it's just looking really old, but obviously there's no use for it if they've not upgraded it.
Whereas the Android version, it appears at first glance to be your bog standard email application. However, it's clean, functions correctly, and there doesn't seem to be any issues throughout the navigation and the user interface. And I'd be happy implementing it for my email personally anytime, and I don't see any problems with it whatsoever.
Here we are looking at Evernote on both tablets. At first glance they are completely different. On the Android you've got the menu going vertically on the left. On the Apple it's horizontal through the middle of the screen. When you click on one, it expands out into the whole area, which is it's really sweet, clean. Everything's there in a nice, easy manner to understand what you need to find and what you write and everything. It's really easy to go back to the menu. It's a very simple navigation.
Absolutely, I agree. One noticeable difference, however, the iPad model tends to use a vertical axis to interact with the user, whereas the Android model tends to use a horizontal axis, which obviously bears no significant difference. But however, one main feature you look at when you open the application, it appears untidy. But however, when you click on the areas which you need, this area disappears completely, and the user can successfully interact with the application. So therefore, I see no noticeable difference in the user's experience within both tablets, and yeah, I see no difference. Okay, we're currently reviewing the Dropbox application for both the Android model and the iPad model. On first glance as well, they seem to do exactly the same job. However, one noticeable difference: on the iPad model, there is an area of the user interface devoted entirely to displaying any specific area within the application, whereas on the Android model, the entire interface is used for listing specific documents, and when the user clicks and opens a specific document, the application appears to use the entire interface to display that document, whereas on the iPad there is only a specific area, and the menu on the left displaying all documents within the application is omnipresent and doesn't move.
Which for the user, I'd say this one's a bit more easier, because you can just be looking through, you can see all your folders within one click, whereas that one you have to keep going back and forth looking at all your documents. With this one, it's the image is there, you've got all your documents there. It just seems a lot easier to me. So. Here we are reviewing Cloudon on both tablets. They look and have the same buttons and everything on both of them. They are identically the same.
Literally very identical.
But one thing is the Apple application is a bit more slower and jaggedy, loading things up. But there's not much in it, but yeah, these are pretty much exactly the same.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree. The responsiveness to the Android version of the application seems to be a lot quicker than the Apple version of the application. Aside from that, there is literally no difference at all.